In this video, we will introduce managed beans. Recall that Java beans are Java components that can be dropped into Java applications. They are simply Java classes that conform to a certain coding style, documented in the Java Beans specification. JSF implementation is able to use Java beans, setting and reading their properties without needing to write any explicit code. Within the JSF implementation, Java Bean instances that are used by a JSF-enabled application are referred to as managed beans because the JSF implementation manages the creation and use of Java Bean objects. Let's look at a basic example. Here we have a regular bean that adheres to the Java Bean spec, an empty argument constructor, private instance variables, and a getter and setter methods for each instance variable. Now let's configure this bean to be recognized by JSF. Let's add a managed bean annotation. We'll give it a name attribute. And we will give it also an eager attribute. The managed bean annotation marks a bean to be managed with the name specified in the name attribute. If the name attribute is not specified, then the bean, which is managed by JSF, will default to the class name portion of the fully qualified class name. Look at the eager attribute. If the eager equals true is set, then the managed bean is created before it is requested for the first time. Otherwise, lazy initialization is used in which the bean will be created only when it is requested. Let's add another annotation. Scope annotations set the scope into which the managed bean will be placed. If scope is not specified, then the bean will default to the request scope. Everything else about our bean is just a plain vanilla bean. Within a JSF-enabled application, managed beans appear in two contexts, and the information needed to create and initialize the managed bean is identified within the configuration files of the application, or the properties and methods of managed beans are referenced in a JSP pages by using value binding expressions and method binding expressions. You can also configure managed beans via the XML, but annotations can simplify and reduce the amount of XML files in an application. Java annotations are a way of providing information about classes or objects. Annotations tell the Java compiler how to behave when processing the statement that followed. JSF provides annotations that you can use in a Java bean to replace the managed bean element of facesconfig.xml. You can completely remove the managed bean element from the facesconfig.xml. This concludes our discussion of managed beans.